All right. Thank you all for being here. My name is Heather, and you are tuning in with Whole Earth Provision Company. Today we're going to be talking about hiking socks or athletic socks, anything that you might wear when you're out doing something active on a trail or running or stuff like that. If you don't know, Whole Earth is a family-owned company based here in Austin, Texas. Outdoor retailer. We are turning 50 years old in a couple months, so that's really exciting. And we've got 6 stores throughout the state of Texas in Houston, Austin, San Antonio, and Dallas. So if you have any other further questions about these socks, you can always come to our website or to any of our stores and get some help from people in the shoe department. So first we're going to get into why choosing the right sock for you is really important. Your feet are, the base of your body. So taking care of your feet when you're out doing something, strenuous is really important. Your feet actually have 25,000 sweat glands on them, and they are the sweatiest part in your whole body, which seems a little hard to believe, but trust me, they get pretty sweaty. So managing that sweat and that moisture is really, really key and paramount to keeping you comfortable while you're out on the trail or, hiking or running or something like that. Not managing that moisture can lead to blisters. So having options that work for you and your feet and your shoe choice and your activity level is really, really important. I know that a lot of these options, when you come into our stores and you see an array of socks, they can be a little confusing or just, overwhelming. But that's why we're here today, to teach you about the options and, helping you figure out what's going to be the best sock for you. So first I want to get into materials and why a certain material might be better or not for you, just, depending on what you're doing and what your liking is. So first we're going to start with something you don't want, and that's going to be cotton. Cotton socks are just a no-go for any sort of active wear. They're fine for daily wear, but if you're going to be doing something like hiking or running, you really want to stay away from cotton. The phrase there is cotton kills, and the biggest reason for that is that they tend to create an environment for a lot of blisters, and that is not fun at all. So the reasons for that is because cotton retains a lot of moisture, and they take a long time to dry, especially when it's on your skin. If you think of like a cotton t-shirt or a base layer, they just don't do a whole lot for you when it comes to wicking your moisture. It just tends to hang on to a lot of that moisture, and that plus all the friction is just a recipe for blisters. So big no-no in the outdoor world is just stay away from cotton. The next material that you might find very common in an outdoor store like ours is going to be wool. So there's brands out there that we sell like Smartwool, Darn Tough, Injinji, Thorlo, Features, and Sockwell. Almost all of those have a wool option and maybe a synthetic option, and we'll talk about synthetics in a minute. But wool is pretty much the most common material, and there's a reason for that. It's very comfortable. A lot of brands now are using Merino Wool, which is a lot different than the old school rag wool that you might remember from way back when. Socks have come a long way in the last just 20 years. So Merino wool is a really, it's a big staple in the outdoor world. The benefits to something with wool in it is that wool does a very good job of regulating your temperature. So you can wear it in cold or warm climates. So just because we have a sock that has wool in it doesn't mean you can't wear it in the summertime. You just maybe don't want to go with something that's like too thick. So just use your best judgment on that. But a thin wool sock in the summer is just as comfortable, and it does a very good job of regulating your temperature so that you don't overheat in the summer and you stay warm in the winter. The next thing about wool that is so great is that it's a natural antimicrobial, which means that the fibers in here are naturally going to decrease the chance of the bacteria that causes your sweat to stink. So you can actually wear wool socks a few times in a row before they need washing, which is great when you're like on a backpacking trip or just maybe it's your gym sock and you don't want to wash it every time, you can wear these a couple times in a row. So you get a little bit more bang for your buck and you don't have to wash them as frequently, which is nice. And the other main takeaway with wool is that it's going to wick your moisture faster than any other material. So you're going to stay dry really, really well with merino wool, as long as you are, not wearing something too thick when it's too warm out. So those are some really good reasons why you might want to choose merino wool socks over something like cotton or maybe synthetic. The only takeaways with wool is that they tend to be a little bit more expensive, but you do get a very good quality sock for the price. And because it's a natural fiber, sometimes they're a little less durable than the other options, but they still last a really long time. Specifically, the Smartwools, they have a technology called indestructible that is in their PhD series, and those are guaranteed for 1,500 miles, and they've got a great warranty. So nothing to really be concerned about there. Really, really good options. And they come in some pretty sweet colors. You can get a lot of different brands and options with colors. It's not just always a classic, blue or brown or green sock. They do have those classic ones, but if you want to mix it up, some good color options out there. So the next material to be aware of is fully synthetic socks. And these socks are going to be comprised a lot with nylon, acrylic, elastane, spandex, lycra. All of those materials are synthetic fibers that do a lot of the same things that the wool socks are going to do. But the big takeaway with synthetic socks is that they're going to be a little bit more durable than your wool counterparts. Synthetic socks also do a really good job of wicking your moisture and taking that sweat away from your foot and moving it to the outside of the sock so that they can evaporate and hopefully go through your shoes. And the other takeaway with them is that they're a little bit more affordable. So sometimes synthetic socks are more bang for your buck, but it just kind of depends. A lot of times these socks are treated with something to make them antimicrobial so that you can also wear these a couple times in a row before they need washing. But sometimes synthetic socks aren't treated with that or don't have that as strong as something like a natural fiber where you get with merino. So you might need to wash these a little bit more frequently. But they're also, an excellent job. They do an excellent job with wicking your moisture. So synthetic socks are sometimes more your speed. Some people are worried about the itch factor when it comes to wool. Smartwool guarantees no itch, no odor, no blisters. Smartwool specifically uses the longest strands of merino wool, which are going to be softer by design, and then they treat their wool with what they call a smart wash, and it takes off the barbs that's on wool fibers that create an itch. So a lot of good options there. But even the wool socks we have from Injinji or Darn Tough are all gonna pretty much have no itch. I've never had an itch problem with any of the wool socks that we have. So that's mostly it for the fibers. The next thing that you want to be concerned about is the fit. So there's a lot of different options, and sometimes you're going to see ankle cut, full boot cut, and then mid socks like these. That is really just a preference and depends on the shoe that you're wearing and what feels comfortable for you. If you're going to be wearing a mid boot, I would suggest a longer tall sock that maybe goes up just past your boot or almost to mid calf. That is going to do a lot better around your ankle to reduce any friction there as well. And the thickness of your sock also depends on your activity level and what your shoes are and the time of year. If you're going hiking and it's 20 degrees out, you probably need a nice thick sock to pair with your shoes just to keep you warm. But while you're out doing something active, your body is going to heat up, and so always be cautious of getting something too thick unless you really need it. I mean, if you're going to be in the snow, for sure. But if it's just cold out, you'd probably be fine with a medium weight sock. Something else with fit is each brand has their own kind of version of how their sock fits on your foot. Features specifically have left and right options that are anatomically correct for each foot and have different sections and arch support and stuff so that it's not all uniform. So that can be a benefit to you. And Smartwool has what they call this 4-degree elite fit system. So you see this X on top of the foot in a sock. These are mesh vents that do a lot of that breathability, which is really nice. And then they have around your arch some more elastane, and that's going to give your foot a little bit more support in the arch. And they're going to have padding in the heel and the ball of the foot, which are, your high wear areas. And a lot of these socks are also going to have a seamless toe, which reduces your chance of blisters on top of your toes. Another thing to consider when it comes to blisters is toe socks. Some people don't realize that this is an option, but this brand Injinji is one of my favorite socks to wear when I'm hiking because they separate the toes. And these are really, really helpful for prohibiting blisters between your toes, which I get a lot. So I really like wearing these when I go out hiking. And, if some of those things aren't your speed, or if you don't want to wear something too thick, or you're really worried about blisters, you might want to wear a liner sock. So liner socks you can get in synthetic or wool options. There's always options. With or without toes too. Some people will only wear this when it comes to their liner, and then they'll put a regular hiking sock over that. What that's going to do is decrease the friction between your foot and the sock, or your foot and the shoe, and that friction is where you can get a lot of blisters. So having something as another barrier in between that is a good option. And last but not least, I want to talk about how to care for these socks. A big rule of thumb, especially with your wool socks, is you want to wash them inside out. And you can machine wash these, but I would stay away from putting them in the dryer. So washing them inside out is going to be really helpful for getting all of the sweat and buildup on these fibers off. You want to stay away from bleach and don't use fabric softener. Fabric softener can coat the fibers and prohibit them from doing the wicking that they're designed to do. So just a mild detergent is really, really helpful, and you can machine wash on cold or warm, but avoid hot water because you don't want to cause any shrinking on any of your socks. And you can tumble dry these on a low heat, but I would recommend air drying. If your dryer has an air only feature, that works really well. Or just lay them out somewhere flat to dry overnight, away from direct sunlight. So those would be my takeaways when it comes to washing these socks. If you're putting in the effort to upgrade your socks to something like this, you do want to take care of them. That way they last a very long time. My personal favorite sock to hike in is the Smartwool PhD Outdoor series. And this is going to have that 4-degree elite fit system. And to me, these just fit better on my feet than the ones in their hike series. The ones in their hike are a little bit of a looser knit, and they have more cushion on the entire bottom of the sock, whereas the PhD series has more elastane in the arch and more cushion underneath the ball of the foot and the heel. And for me, these are a lifesaver on the trail. But again, I also really like those Injinji toe socks. But features are also an option. I really like these for trail running, and they come in different weights and thicknesses as well. So features are also really nice. All right, well, I think we are going to end the recording so that if you guys have any questions, we can get to those. So just for the recording's sake, thank you so much for watching, and we'll get to some questions now.